Welcome back to the pod. I don't know what episode it is. We don't even have a name. I don't really care. I'm here with my health coach, Andres, and we're about to get started. This is kind of like a hybrid between like a regular podcast episode and me just doing my health, my like weekly or monthly, because I've been negligent the last month. Supposed to do this weekly, but we haven't done it for like a month. So this is kind of like a hybrid between a podcast episode and a weekly check-in meeting with my coach, Andres. So without further ado, let's get started.
Awesome.
The first thing I wanted to talk, I was going to make a list of things to talk about, but I just ran out of time, but I know them. I'm definitely bordering on caffeine abuse. I wouldn't say abuse, but I had a bad relationship with caffeine before. So I want to make sure and talk to you about my caffeine. And then I want to talk about sleep, because sleep is like, I definitely think that my sleep quality has gotten better because we put that was like basically the biggest thing that we talked about the first few sessions. You can let him down if you want. Because if he's chewing on that thing, that it might get in the audio anyway. Darwin's his name, right?
Darwin, yes.
And let's start with the caffeine. The caffeine, okay, so my daily consumption of caffeine is I wake up, I have water, I have athletic greens, and then a half an hour later I have a 1 cup of coffee, and then I wait like another half an hour, and then I have pre-workout, which I have 2 scoops of pre-workout, and it has about 160 milligrams per scoop. So that's like 320 milligrams right there. And it actually doesn't affect me that, I don't know what it is, but I don't feel that caffeine that strong. Like the coffee, I feel the caffeine more than I do with the pre-workout for some reason. I feel the beta alanine, like the jittery, like that little, not jittery, but I feel like, you know the beta alanine feeling?
Yeah.
Which is cool. I actually
flush,
like it.
tingling
It's like
feeling.
a tingling. It only comes when I'm really doing my warm-up cardio. And then after the gym, I have a protein shake. And then I have an energy drink, which has 112 milligrams of caffeine at around noon. And then sometimes I have like a coffee or an espresso around 2 o'clock. So what does that come out to? That's like 550.
It's like 500 something. Yeah.
500. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
But that I'm never having caffeine later than like 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm still sleeping well. I don't think it's affecting my sleep, but I'm just aware of it. And I just wanted to see what you thought about, I'm using pre-workout every day, which I also don't know if that's good or recommended, or is it suboptimal? Like, so yeah, what are your thoughts on that regimen of caffeine?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back, man. It's great to be here.
Of course, brother.
I know that this doubles as our, weekly health consult, but it's great that we get to have this conversation and share value with your audience.
I love it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, I'll just start by saying that I know this is going to be very valuable because caffeine is the most widely abused drug in the world.
I think alcohol is more abused.
No, this is like a fact.
In terms of volume, caffeine is more because it's just you can function a lot more on caffeine than you can on alcohol. But people can function on alcohol too. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the key word is abused drug. Most widely abused. And
for sure.
Yeah, of course, a lot of people drink and abuse alcohol as well. I think alcohol is number 2, or nicotine might be number 2.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so you want to have a good relationship with it because caffeine is going to make you more productive, right? Like these big companies and corporations, they schedule in like coffee breaks because even though the employees aren't there working, the productivity boost that they get compensates. The net difference is greater,
But I see a lot of content around like the benefits of going to zero caffeine or like very low caffeine. And then when you really need it, you use a little bit and it's like amazing how strong it is.
Yeah. So, because you want to improve the sensitivity to it.
Right.
So the way that let me just describe some of the ways that caffeine works, and then we'll get into how you can have a better relationship with it.
Okay.
Because it's not to say that 500 is just all of a sudden bad. Like, yeah, it's a big number. It's more than most people, but I'll just share this with you. Like there's you can have a genetic predisposition that allows you to break down caffeine 4 times faster than the average person. I think you don't quote me on this, but I think that it works on what's called the CYP450 enzyme. I could be wrong. I could be confusing that for something else with fat metabolism. The point is that there is a gene that gives you a predisposition for, faster breakdown. So like for example, my next door neighbor, he has an espresso at night and he sleeps great. 2 hours later. So for most people, the half-life of caffeine is going to be about 5 hours, which means that it's going to take about 10 hours for you to have metabolized at least 90% of it.
Okay.
And then, technically you'll get, better sleep that night. So one of my go-to kind of like basic suggestions for most people in caffeine is you don't want to get in that perpetual cycle of like you're over caffeinated, underslept, and then you have to wake up the next day and have even more caffeine to get by.
Yeah.
So to undo that effect, one of the first steps is don't consume coffee within 10 hours of your bedtime.
Okay.
That works well for most people.
Okay. Not
so much for the fast metabolizers. They can technically get away with that. So maybe we can do a genetic test. I mean, either way, I think we should do a good genetic test to kind of see where you're at.
Yeah.
But a few considerations here. So one of my next go-to suggestions to improve your relationship with caffeine is not to have caffeine within the first 90 minutes of waking. Why? Because you want to experience that endogenous, that natural by the body rise in cortisol. That's going to help prime your circadian rhythm. And this is then, the downstream effects of this are so vast. I mean, the circadian rhythm and circadian biology is going to influence every other biological mechanism in your body throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout your life. So kind of like dilating that time frame and enjoying caffeine later allows you to pronounce that natural by the body response. And then that's also going to help promote better sleep at night.
90 minutes is the magic number?
60 to 90 minutes after
60?
waking. Yeah.
Is 60 still pretty decent?
60 is pretty good.
Okay. So if I wake up at 6:30 and I wait till 7:30 to have my coffee, that's good enough?
Yeah. I think you mentioned earlier that you were waiting about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So 60 is going to be a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah. And then you're going to be able to double down on your natural production of cortisol. Like caffeine, the mechanisms by which it increases energy and productivity is it actually doesn't give you energy. It reduces the perception of fatigue.
Yeah, I know it's something with the adenosine.
Yeah, so it
where
competes,
it can go or something.
Yeah, it competes with the adenosine for binding sites in the brain. Adenosine is something that we accumulate throughout the day that gets us to feel generally fatigued.
Right.
And so it competes with adenosine, but another mechanism by which it can give you more energy and productivity is that it works as a diuretic, so it causes you to lose water, and that will increase the your blood pressure and therefore your heart rate. And so you get a combined increase in your respiratory rate, increase in your resting heart rate, and then you also get the adenosine effect. And there's other smaller mechanisms, but those are the main mechanisms by which it kind of gives you this energy or reduction in perception of fatigue. So let's focus on those two things. Realistically, I want to find a way to adjust your intake so that it makes sense for you. Mm-hmm. And maybe we can try tapering it down and just improving your relationship in the sense that you can be a little more intentional about caffeine use. So I know, for example, that right now it's difficult to get the best sleep ever because you have kids.
Yeah.
And they are keeping you up at night. But I'd say that
actually last night was the first night
that they slept through the night.
I think, since we had 2 kids, that we put them to sleep and we didn't hear a peep until 6:42.
Wow.
Which is like amazing. Literally last night was the first night. I've been training the older one, bribing, negotiating, which is all it is. So yeah. Last night was the first night. So that's huge.
Cool.
Really huge.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you what, last time I was on the show, we spoke a lot about sleep and how to adjust your sleep environment and just generally how to get higher quality sleep. And I'm curious if you think there's a way to get your family kind of like in on what to do for better sleep. So for example, getting your kids a pair of raw optics, blue blocking glasses, using amber color light bulbs in the house so that they have less of this blue wavelength, and therefore everyone in your home can accumulate melatonin, a little more melatonin together each night. you can turn down the temperature of the house as a whole to 62 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, we sleep freezing thanks to Daddy, thanks to me,
Nice.
which is good.
Nice. So I think the combination of like raw optics and amber colored bulbs are automatically going to guarantee more melatonin accumulation. The keyword is accumulation because it's like it's like leading up to bedtime.
Yeah.
The way that we're designed, we respond to sunset in this way where there's less blue light in the sky because it's being filtered out by the atmosphere. And so we start to accumulate melatonin as the sky turns this like deep orange red color and eventually black. And so you can simulate that in your home and everyone gets the benefit.
You know what I think sleep is like, literally we talk about it all the time, but it's because it's the most important. One of the big things that I like, the dichotomy is like there's like science, which we talk about a lot mostly, and then there's psychology. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of like completely separate, but I do feel like because everyone's like, oh, I know I should order a salad and I know I should just have water, but like if you know it, then why don't you do it, right? There's a disconnect. It's something with a human psychology that prevents you from doing all these things. I know I shouldn't drink. I know I should not eat fried food, and yet I still do it over and over again. So like, what's happening? So I'm not a psychologist, but I definitely, and I know that I've seen people talk about the difference in your decision quality. It goes up like massively when you sleep well. Mm-hmm. I know. So I'm curious, like if you have, if you've thought about, because you focus a lot on the science, like that's your bread and butter, but like
my background is in psychology.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, okay. So like the psychology might be just as important. I think if you can get your science and your psychology knowledge high, then that's where it's at. Then you really know where you're at and dialed in. So, but I definitely feel like when I sleep well, my decision quality is way higher. And then and then when you make good decisions, you sleep better. And then when you sleep better, it's like so important to get that momentum and just, you start making 2% progress every day, 1% progress every day versus going the other direction. Yeah.
And so like, psychology considered, I mean, everything, by the way, that I think everything that we discuss is going to influence your psychology in one way or another. Yeah. But sleep works in a really interesting way in that it's the best opportunity you have on a daily basis to regulate your neurotransmitters. And that plays a huge role in your psychology, regulating your dopamine, replenishing dopamine. So you're motivated when you start the day and energized, focused, serotonin, which just, has so many mechanisms, but one of them is regulating your mood, for example. Then there's so many neurotransmitters, and it's their interplay that we have to consider as well. But your sleep is like that daily software update that you get to regulate everything. And so, of course, it's going to influence your psychology. And going back to these habits that you can maybe enable as a family unit, like they're going to have a small difference on a daily basis, but over time they're going to compound, and it will support the general psychology and mental well-being of everyone in your home.
Yeah.
It's so common nowadays. I see, and I don't know. So I see a lot of young people, especially kids, just totally absorbed by their iPads and iPhones and everything. And that excess blue light, not just the blue light, but having this device so close to their face, when you have that narrowed field of vision, that creates stress in the body, because the only time you have to focus on something that's so on a focal point, so with such a narrowed field of vision, is when you're running away from danger and you have to quickly decide where you're going to go and how you're going to get away. So when we engage our panoramic field of vision, that automatically is shown to create a more parasympathetic state. So the point is,
the more relaxed
sure
state.
That a more relaxed state.
Like looking out over a mountain cliff and looking at the whole world.
Like, for example, I was in Uber on my phone. I had to catch up with some emails on the way over here. And as soon as I got out of the Uber, I was getting him to pee, but at the same time I was looking out at the city, because I was like, I've been looking at my phone for an hour now.
Recalibrate your brain and your eyes, right? Yeah.
Because I want to be relaxed, when I'm on the show.
For sure.
So anyway, so I see this with a lot of young kids, and one thing that will automatically reduce the harm is mitigating blue light exposure, especially in the later evening. And even in the daytime, it's just like the blue wavelength in those LEDs is so pronounced. It's unnatural. The sun has blue wavelength, and that's the most potent source of blue wavelength that exists. But there's a balance of light in the sun, and there's a wide range of therapeutic wavelengths like red and infrared and UVA and such. So the point is that we should, throughout the day, try to find a more natural balance. So maybe using like a yellow tinted pair of raw optics or other blue blocking glasses, and maybe using the night shift mode earlier, but especially in the later evening when we need to get good sleep. Amber color light bulbs, 0 blue wavelength, night shift mode, raw optics.
What we've been doing, which is good, and we didn't even do it strategically, but we have we have something that I think is good is we're downstairs and we have dinner and then we play and we have the TV on sometimes and we watch cartoons and whatever, but then we go upstairs and we have like no devices up there.
Nice.
And they play with like stuffed animals.
Nice.
We read books. There's like a light, but I don't think it has it puts the stars on the ceiling, which I don't think
like a glow in the dark.
It's like a little ball, but it projects like starry night themes, and it's pretty cool. And I don't know, it has like a good calming effect.
Cool.
I don't know what the science would say. And so that takes like 45 minutes, and I feel like that is definitely instrumental to having like a good bedtime for them. Because there's so much that you can learn from like kids, right? Like if it works for any mistakes you make as an adult, they'll be magnified in kids, right?
Yeah.
So if you let your kids like watch cartoons until 9:30 and then you're like, all right, now it's time to sleep. And if you think you're just going to like put your kid from watching TV to sleep and it's going to take you 3 minutes, like you're going to learn a hard lesson. So, same thing for you, right? So it's like, if it's bad for them, it's bad for me too, right? They're just smaller versions of us.
Yeah.
More basic, just more magnified. So that's something that we do that's good. But also, something that, so for me, and I think this is important for like people watching too, like especially busy people. I feel like this was, I'm probably projecting bias, but for me, this was my biggest like leak in terms of like eating and sleeping. I have a busy day. Like I wake up, I work out, I'm caffeinated, I'm more caffeinated, I'm cranking out work, doing podcasts, content, law firm, clients, busy day. Before you know it, like eat healthy during the day for the most part, like almost always, because I know that if I eat something bad, it'll slow me down, and then kind of like build up a huge appetite. Mm-hmm. And then actually still for the most part eat a healthy dinner. Sometimes before I would eat a really bad, really huge dinner because I would overdo it and I'd be like just starving. But then the biggest problem for me was like, okay, I've basically been perfect all day, right? And now it's like I had dinner early, like 6 o'clock, 7, whatever, at home, something healthy. Now it's like 9:30, 10, like it's pretty much the end of the day. There's like 1 hour left in the day. Mm-hmm. And I would get like a craving to eat, and I could easily just like suck down like 1,500, 2,000 calories in that last hour. And I think that there's probably a lot of people that do that. Mm-hmm. And I've heard a lot of people say that they do the exact same thing. And they're like, and then once you get that habit, it becomes really hard to break it, because you're like, you get that like release of all the feelings that you feel like. You feel good and bad when you eat that much food. Mm-hmm. You feel bad because you're full and bloated, but you feel good because you're just like super lethargic and like super sleepy. And like, but what I've noticed, and for me, what has helped me the most in resisting, he's just chilling right behind you. For me, what helps me the most in like, bless you, in resisting that urge to like eat a whole bunch of food at the very end of the day is reminding myself that if I either don't eat, or if I really think I need a few more calories to get like to get like a nice maintenance level or a small deficit for the day, eat something healthy, like something like a little bit of like yogurt, like Greek yogurt or something with good macros. But if I'm in that moment, right, where I'm in the kitchen, I'm getting like some water for the kids or myself right before sleep, taking my magnesium, and like I'm thinking like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. Like, should I slam like a huge like whatever turkey cheese sandwich with cream cheese or something, like, you know? I've started to realize if I do this, it will feel good right now, but then there's this drastic difference in the way, not just the way that I wake up, but the time that I wake up.
Yeah.
And maybe it gets worse as you get older, because you get away with so much when you're young. But if I have that perfect day in terms of diet and exercise and everything and schedule, I like have the internal circadian rhythm is like on point.
Yeah.
Versus if I eat that fucking whatever I eat at the end of the night, that circadian rhythm gets all fucked up, and it's really, really clear.
Yeah.
When you're dialed in.
So let's dissect that, and I can try and provide some suggestions and ways that you might be able to mitigate that hunger late in the evening. And by the way, I do want to return to the caffeine stuff in a moment.
Yeah.
But couple of things. First of all, the reason why a large meal like that, the reason why it disturbs your sleep is a couple things. So first of all, large meal will make you sleepy, but it's not going to lead to better sleep.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
If you have that bulk of food in the midsection in your stomach, that creates a lot of heat in the body, and your body becomes preoccupied.
That's why you get cold sometimes after a meal, right?
Yeah, you're pulling blood from the extremities to the digestive tract. Exactly. That's another reason why you get cold. But that actually leads me to my next point, which is what actually initiates sleep in the body is a decline in your core body temperature. That's what initiates deep sleep. So that's a really important point here, because there's a lot of things that make you sleepy. So we spoke about adenosine. We spoke about melatonin accumulation. I mean, general fatigue, like nervous system exhaustion, managing a lot of responsibility throughout the day. There's a lot of things that drive feeling sleepy and being fatigued. Mm-hmm. But those don't initiate sleep. What initiates sleep is a decline in core body temperature. So a large meal makes you sleepy because you see an upregulation in serotonin that eventually becomes melatonin. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get better sleep. Plus, another huge component here that most people don't talk about when it comes to sleep and eating late is the blood glucose component. So you're going to get this massive spike. I mean, depending on what you eat, but if you're just kind of like mindlessly eating whatever's in your house. If you're
eating like the shit that I used to eat, which is like a bag of crackers like dipped in cream cheese or something, like just whatever you can get like fast calories as fast as possible.
Because that's the thing is like in the later evening, another consideration when it comes to your psychology and your neuroscience is that as you proceed through the day, you will see a decline in your dopamine levels and an increase in serotonin.
Okay.
And all of a sudden your decision making goes from being more logical to more emotional. And if you are done with the day, done with your work, you finally have this like freedom, and now you have this upregulation of serotonin, the decision making might be such that it leads to, overconsumption of whatever feels like it might satisfy you.
So wait, let me break this down. This is a new thing for me, because a lot of this stuff is not new to me, but this is new to me. As the day, I know, is this related to decision fatigue? Is it kind of related?
It can be,
like the thing where you're more logical earlier in the day and you're more emotional later in the day?
It pairs nicely with decision-making fatigue.
Okay. So there's science behind the fact that as the day goes on, you get more emotional with your decisions?
You go from being less logical in your decision-making to more emotional. And this is because of the serotonin and dopamine relationship.
Okay, good. I just wanted to
Which is another reason why, by the way, why it's so terrible. And this is like most people tuning in are guilty of this. Starting the day within the first 30 minutes, you're on social media. You're like just spending all the dopamine that your body just worked so hard to replenish. You're spending it. And then throughout the day, you're craving more of this stuff because you want that similar kind of dopamine fix. Like you've spent so much and I just need another little fix throughout the day. And it just perpetuates into this like terrible, cycle of can't get enough social media.
So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here, but I want to ask this question because I feel like it's a new area for me. So I used to some of my best, like most productive times were when I would wake up really early in the morning and I would have like the first few hours of the day to myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would spend those hours working out, but sometimes I would literally just spend like 3 hours, like reading, looking at my to-do lists, just kind of like, obviously not on social media at all, but like looking inward and like, but also outward and, you know, planning and stuff like that.
Yep.
So but I guess what I'm trying to say is, should I be, because right now my day is wake up, little family time, and then right to the gym and then get cleaned up. And I'm always kind of like working, but I'm doing like maintenance stuff as opposed to like offline DND mode activated, like planning, like high level shit. So I'm questioning whether or not I should be maybe like switching my routine up a little bit and like spending the first 5 or 6 hours of the day like doing the heavy lifting and like really looking inward, and then maybe taking like an hour break in the middle of the day to get my exercise. Yeah,
that's a great question. I would say that it's not something that you have to do every day. I would maybe make small adjustments depending on what the priority is. Like, for example, in this case, one of the things that you expressed earlier that you feel might be holding you back or doing a number on you is this excess caffeine consumption. Maybe you look at, why am I consuming so much caffeine? Or the tasks that I'm doing throughout the day so difficult where I need that degree of extrinsic motivation to get me to accomplish something. So maybe that reveals an incentive to wake up early and do the difficult tasks then when you're undisturbed, everyone else is sleeping, you have no notifications bothering you. You know, maybe that's the opportunity that you need, so that then throughout the day you don't need as much caffeine. If that's one of the reasons.
Well, the bulk of my caffeine is coming from that pre-workout, which I don't like. I'm just doing it because whatever. I don't even feel it that much. So I could eliminate that, or I could go down to 1 scoop, which would take out almost 200 milligrams a day. So I think I gotta toy with that. But yeah, like, am I using like maybe I don't need the caffeine because of the just or reordering things. Yeah. I do really like having a reliable routine. Like it's not that I fall apart without it. It's just that I like genuinely love looking forward to, like, I love like going to sleep knowing like, all right, I get to like spend time with my kids. Then I get to go right to the gym. I get to crush, get to shower up, clean up, put on my suit, put on my work clothes, go to the office, spend time there, maybe go to a lunch meeting, go back to the office, a little more work, then family time. Like, there's something, and that's psychology for sure. There's something in human psychology, like having like I tend to like not malfunction, but I tend to like not be happy when it's like, oh, the day just changed. And like, instead of like looking forward to what I know the day that I predictably can look forward to, it's all like now, oh, you have this meeting out of nowhere and this this.
We're creatures of habit, and there's safety in routine. So, and I mean, the conversation of safety is a whole other thing. Like, sometimes you don't want to be so safe. And the point is that if you have a routine to look forward to and you have habits to look forward to, that generally reflects, you know, a certain kind of discipline and commitment to self-improvement and to living the life that you want. So the point is, maybe there's a way for us to find a happy medium for you right now, where it's like you can wake up early enough where you do some of the really difficult things, and then you dilate. Maybe it's an additional. Maybe it's waking up just 30 minutes earlier, because as you expressed just a few moments ago, you think you can and should get that 60-minute interval before you have your first cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you wake up 30 minutes earlier, and in those first 30 minutes, totally undisturbed, before you see your family, you do some of the most difficult tasks. And maybe that task isn't necessarily a work task, but it's a deep reflection that you need to do to be more intentional and present throughout the day. So it's like, it's really an investment in your psychology, in your mental well-being, so that you can be more intentional with the things that you do and the things that you add into your body, one of them being caffeine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a happy compromise. That
I would love to wake up at like 5:45 and just go on a half an hour walk.
What's your current wake up time?
6:30.
Perfect. I think 5:45 is very realistic.
Yeah.
And if you go out for a walk around that time, I mean, you know, no phone, nothing. No one's up.
Yeah. No, there's something about being awake and like knowing that there's nothing that, it's good to have your phone off like at 2:00 in the afternoon, but back of your mind, you're like, I'm going to have to turn it on soon and I'm going to have to see stuff. There's something about being awake for 45 minutes, an hour, and just being like, when I turn my phone back on, there's still nothing I know there's nothing going to be waiting for me. It allows you to like get to like a different place.
Yeah, it's like you have the most presence. Like that's the time of day where you have the most presence typically. I mean, for yourself, right? Like obviously later in the day you have presence with your family and that's really rewarding, but it's clear to me, and I think it's clear to you, that you need to have some of that for yourself. And if you think about this from a psychological and neuropsychological perspective, neuropsychophysiological perspective is the more accurate way to put it.
That's a way above my pay grade, but yeah.
Well, you have all that fresh dopamine in the morning for yourself.
This is what I think. Sorry to interrupt you.
Reflect deeply.
You see all these like stories about you have to be a morning person. Like you want to be a successful entrepreneur. You have to like wake up at 4 in the morning. And then you have like these people that are like, no, like I do all my best work between midnight and 3 in the morning. And I think obviously there's never like you have to do anything.
Yeah, there's
right?
never, people love to say it on social media because it gets views, but so bio individual.
But I do think that there's a clear advantage to the people who are the morning people.
Yeah.
Is that, and this ties into what we talked about before, which is you're going to get 4 hours, whatever. If you wake up at 4 in the morning, if you like to work between midnight and 4 in the morning, let's just call it 4 hours. Like if you're willing to work on extreme schedules, you can get 4 hours of like true time where no one will bother you, right? And it's 4 hours either way you cut it. Like it doesn't matter if it's 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. or midnight to 4 a.m., right? Yeah. You can get those 4 hours. The key difference is, are they the first 4 hours of your day or are they the last?
Yeah,
and if they're the first 4, then science says that they're going to be better than the last 4.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes, to make your point, yes.
Okay.
But I would say no, because there's people that make a living or spend their time doing creative work. And so when they have lower dopamine and higher serotonin, they can be more creative in the evening. So like, for example, I recently met a musician, shout out to John. Oh my God.
If you're going to do a shout out, you better know the guy's name.
I know the guy's name. I met him briefly the other day.
Oh, it's okay.
John.
No, but it's funny because I was going to make this analogy before.
John, I need to pull this up.
I was going to, while you pull it up, I was going to say, you hear about these people who are like, no, like I do my best work between 12 and 4. And I feel like, obviously this is just me like pulling shit out of my ass, but like, I feel like a lot of the people who are those camp, they're doing creative. They're like the more eclectic. They're like, I do my sculptures, from 12 to 4 in the morning, or I'm writing code. I'm like, it's more creative work, right?
Well, yeah. So when they are tasks that are just easy to kind of execute, like just checking off a to-do list.
Yeah.
Those are typically the tasks you want to program later into the day, because you can do them in the morning, but in the morning you want to do the really difficult stuff.
Okay.
Really, really difficult. Like the dopamine is going to help you overcome that hurdle of difficulty. So, which I don't know if that's redundant, whatever. The point is, I was going to mention my friend as I was typing in John, I realized, okay, it's John Roseboro.
Okay.
Roseboro.
Okay.
He's a musician. He's about my age. And he's a bossa nova musician. He's a badass. Okay. And I was having a conversation with him actually on New Year's Day. It was between me, him, and my brother over a bonfire. My brother's also a musician. And they were talking about, moments throughout the day where they kind of get the best flow and the best creativity. Yep. And so my brother was describing, my brother has another job. I mean, he manages my dad's ophthalmology practice.
Okay.
He went to business school. So my brother just kind of is in a position right now where anytime he has a stroke of flow or creativity and he's not busy with work, he'll just kind of make it happen. Like he'll just kind of write a lyric or, whatever. John, however, is doing this full time. And what John describes as his best moments of flow are when he's like about to fall asleep. Like he's about to fall asleep. Like he's in like that zone where like his eyes are starting to close. And he just like grabs the guitar in bed, playing like stroking his guitar. So I'm like, dude.
There's something about accessing a different part of the brain, right?
Yeah, he's like, listen, dude, there's no one bothering me at that time of day. It's just me and my guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm like falling sleepy and I'm kind of in like that hazy, dreamy state.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, well, this is really consistent with, you know, a surge in serotonin. And so it doesn't surprise me why. For example, by the way, for those, just to make the point here, a lot of people tuning in either have experienced or are familiar with experiences related to psilocybin or magic mushrooms.
Yep.
That works. That upregulates serotonin activity. It's one of the reasons why we get these creative kind of visuals and expressions and feelings, and it's because of the serotonin response. So it just kind of goes to prove the point that your endogenous serotonin levels rise later in the evening as you exhaust dopamine as well. That plays a role, and it leads you to be more creative. And to go back to our initial point, that might be the most productive thing for someone, even someone like you. Like sometimes as a lawyer, as an attorney, sometimes it's not so much logical, but it has to be more creative in the way that you engage in a problem or you solve an issue.
Yeah.
You know, my field, I have to use my brain a lot logically. You know, I do a lot of logical work, but there is an emotional component. So, for example, I will develop a lot of like logical seed ideas for content earlier in the day, and then as I'm meditating early in the morning, and then later in the evening, I sprinkle in like that creative element that's going to help me kind of tell a story with that seed idea.
Like a twist on it.
So that most people can understand and interpret it in a way that makes sense for them in their daily life and in a fun, you know, making the science sexy and creative so that it can really do, so we can really do it justice, because the logical scientific component sometimes goes over people's head.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to kind of describe the nuance and prove the point that either one of those can be productive. And in your case, maybe right now, I think it would count to kind of get those 30 to 45 minutes on your own with high dopamine, no distractions, no responsibility, to reflect deeply and really harness that intrinsic drive and build presence and intention for the day ahead so that you can modify and be more intentional with your caffeine consumption. And if you're saying that you're not even noticing much of an effect with the pre-workout, maybe what you really need is just to kind of develop that intrinsic drive to move your body in that sense. Maybe you have to, something that helps a lot is asking yourself, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Oh, before I forget too, I want to talk about, it's not caffeine, but he went down for the count, which is cool. Which is where I want him to be. I think it's a good look. It's a cute sleeping dog, but we don't get to see his little cute face. But cyclic dextrin, I want to make sure to talk to you about that.
Cyclic dextrin?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Cyclic, I think that's what it is. I can pull it up. It's basically like this. I think it's Japanese invented. It's basically like, because I trained fasted. That's just what I like. Yep. I just got used to it and I really like, I don't want to be digesting anything in the morning. Cyclic dextrin is like it's an intra workout. So it's something you drink while you're working out. And I've definitely noticed that it makes me feel like more energetic during my workouts and less flat. I've tried having like one bowl of white rice, like some bodybuilder friend told me, like
from the very beginning of the day.
Try having like with my coffee in the morning, like an hour before my workout, having like one serving of white rice before my workout.
Fuck no.
No?
Don't do that.
Wow, interesting.
You are not a bodybuilder getting on stage, NPC shooting, you know, drugs. No disrespect to your friend.
Right.
But that is a total bro science. I'm going to be on stage with my fucking steroids flexing logic.
Okay.
I really hate to bash the bodybuilders, but that, like, starting the day with a bunch of white rice totally fucks your glucose levels for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know.
You might get a better pump, but bro, there's more to your life than
but not like a
pump.
Huge amount, like one serving, like 1 cup of white rice.
That's a lot.
It didn't really bog
rice.
me down though. When I did do it, it didn't like make me feel lethargic because it was not a ton.
I mean, you're more insulin sensitive in the morning.
Yeah, no, I know that. I've heard that. But yeah, I stopped doing it just because it didn't really, I don't know.
Plus, a lot of bodybuilders are in a totally different, like their physiology is working so differently because they're shooting stuff that helps regulate their glucose. Like a lot of bodybuilders take metformin, which is for diabetics, to regulate the blood glucose levels. Dude, please don't take that.
No, I'm not.
Do that.
Well, I'm not taking anything. I'm not on any gear. And But the cyclic dextrin, I did some reach on it, and I asked my friend. I should have asked you, but now I'm asking you. It's only been like a week, so
I think it's an immediate carb source.
it's an immediate, and read it. Let me pull it up.
I used to take that back when I was doing road cycling, and I needed something intra workout that would be like
highly branched cyclic dextrin.
Yeah.
What?
So this isn't going to be, don't quote me on this, but I think it's just like it readily will replenish glycogen or keep your glycogen stores topped off as like a highly branched, carbohydrate source, whatever. Honestly, like I'm not an expert here.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things I can recommend that I am a little more familiar with that can give you what you want with less potentially detrimental effects, or without still taking advantage of like the fast, for example, which beyond providing a convenient way to consume less calories and therefore establish a calorie deficit on a daily basis, helping you lose some fat. That's one of the ways that fasting works to improve health. But another way is that you get this intermittent metabolic switch. So you go from the fed state to the fasted state, and that ketone to glucose switch on a regular daily basis is super, super, super good for longevity, for improving and upregulating BDNF in the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and CREB. So these are two things that are going to help with neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, synaptogenesis, and they're also going to help with your memory. So that glucose to ketone switch, that's another mechanism by which fasting is helpful and healthy. Now, one thing that you can do to kind of maintain that fasted state, or at least still elicit some of these benefits without necessarily breaking a fast from a metabolic perspective, or at least if you do break it, it's very...
Does the dextrin break it? Because even though it seems like it should obviously break it, it doesn't affect me in the same way that like other ways of breaking my fast would. Like if I were to break my, how when you break your fast and you, especially with carbs, like you get hungrier sooner as opposed to if you're just fasting, you kind of can go forever ish. But like when I take it while I'm working out, I feel like it just gets used up immediately while I'm lifting weights, and then I go right back to a fasted state. I don't know what the science says about that, but.
So again, I think with dextrin specifically, my knowledge is limited.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that we can guarantee, and by guarantee, I don't mean, guarantee according to my knowledge and limited knowledge of dextrin. I just mean like actually find a way, because what you want is you want more energy for your for your workout. You want to enjoy the benefits of fasting as well. I would say that my opinion, what you should do is instead of taking the dextrin, you should take essential amino acids.
Okay.
Because what they do, and specifically Kion essential amino acids, and I'm affiliated with Kion. I know it's an incredible brand, third-party tested. It's really, really good. But the reason why I recommend Kion is because their blend of essential amino acids is identical to human muscle tissue, like the ratios of the different aminos. But the amount of tryptophan is relatively lower. The reason why this is important is because as you do exercise and you break down muscle fiber, those proteins get broken down into the individual amino acids. And eventually, when you get this increase in breakdown of muscle tissue, it goes into the bloodstream, communicates with the brain via the blood-brain barrier. And your brain goes, wow, look at all these aminos, especially tryptophan. Look at all this tryptophan, which is also the precursor of serotonin and melatonin. Look at all this tryptophan. We're breaking down a lot of muscle tissue. Let's pump the gas on the brake because, we're doing a lot of activity. We're breaking down more than, we can effectively recover from, just to put it simply. And so that kind of puts the brakes on you. And so in the morning, when you first wake up, there can be a little bit of this like melatonin residue as you're, proceeding through the day, getting the day started and seeing this rising cortisol. Cortisol and melatonin are, for the most part, inversely related. So the point is, when you add in this essential amino acid, which is 0 calorie, and it's the precursor of protein, it's going to improve your performance during the workout because it's going to compete with tryptophan across the blood-brain barrier. It's going to reduce the perception of fatigue. And it's going to immediately give you the building blocks of protein to elicit, mTOR for muscle protein synthesis. And it's going to give you kind of like the best bang for your buck, if you will. at giving you a nice, energetic focus for your workout, still give you the benefits of fasting, and then immediately begin the process of protein synthesis. So these three things are dextrin can't do.
Let me pull it up real quick because I want to put it on my list because I don't know why I've slept on essential amino acids, but what should I Google?
Look up, go on getkion.com and look at their aminos. They have capsules or a powder.
Aminos powder? Yeah, I like the powder.
So what I'll do is I'll take like 2 scoops in the morning before a fasted workout, and I feel like I'm in a fed state. Like I don't feel full, but I feel energized. I feel focused, and you still get a lot of the benefits of fasting. And plus, it's 0 calorie. These are the building blocks of protein. It's 0 calorie.
Can you? Would you ever mix that with like the LMNT?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like my perfect, like my favorite fasted pre-workout hydration mix is, 32 ounces of clean water, spring water.
Yep.
I'll add in a scoop of either like a full packet of Element, or as of late, I've been doing Relight, RE-LYTE.
Okay.
Which is, in my opinion, a better alternative to Element now because the salt they use is Redmond Real Salt from Utah. So it's got 0.
Yeah, I'm getting ads on Instagram about I don't know which
for
one,
Redmond.
No, about other ones saying that's like shows you theirs and shows you Element.
Yeah,
ours is better for.
Yeah, I think reasons. Neon is probably one of them. I got ads for that too. Anyway, Redmond Real Salt is going to have 60 minerals in it, 0 heavy metals.
Okay.
So it's great.
Okay.
Anyway, 1 scoop of the Relight in clean water. I do 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, also from Kion, and then I'll add in 1 or 2 scoops of the essential amino acids, and then I'll do 1 pack of Timeline urolithin A, which is like superfood for mitochondria.
What is that one?
Timeline. It's MitoPure Timeline urolithin A, and they have these little individual packets of the urolithin A with like a blueberry powder. So it's like this delicious mix of stuff that just gets you, oh my gosh, on a different level in the morning.
Just send me that one.
Yeah, I'll send all this over. So all this stuff is going to give you super clean energy, caffeine free, and technically speaking, it can kick you out of a fast. But
I don't care that much.
It's for a few minutes. Like you get to experience this while still seeing a lot of the benefits of fasting. It's not traditional fasting in the sense that you're not eating any calories and now all of a sudden you're in a more ketogenic state. A lot of people think, if I have a little bit of honey, I'll break my fast. Okay, yeah, but it's a little bit of honey. You're gonna break the fast for a few minutes and then you're gonna jump right back into ketosis. Like,
yeah, but I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, my eating window is at 8:00," and they're like, and it's like we're like gonna have dinner at 7:45. I'm like,
yeah,
it's like it's not about these 15 minutes. It's about implementing fasting as a part of your life. But whatever.
And by the way, I should mention that fasting between men and women is very different.
Yeah.
So for the women that are tuning in, I would not follow the fasting protocols that men are doing. I think you should really take the time, and men should do this too. Men should learn about the female biorhythm and female hormones and how they fluctuate throughout the month and how, we should adjust our lifestyle, our nutrition, our fasting, and all these other hormetic stressors like calorie restriction, sauna and infrared light and cryotherapy.
We're so much different animals. Like
we're
have you read The Way of the Superior Man?
I did the audiobook. Yeah.
You read it?
Yeah.
I'm reading it. It's amazing. Like it gives you such perspective on men and women. We are so much different. And to deny that is just it's just, you're going to put yourself in such a bad place if you fail to see the dichotomy of men and women, and they have their cycles and their energies come from a different place. Like masculinity and femininity are being aware of that is, and then of course the science matters a lot too.
Yeah, the science on women's health is so limited. In fact, last time I was in your podcast studio, I was here with Dr. Jessica DuPont, and she's an expert in women's health and in reproductive health. And we spoke about this. I mean, we really went deep on the differences in our physiology and how men and women can cater to women's physiology in the modern day, because this science and the research is so limited.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're starting to uncover some good science that suggests what kind of lifestyle changes we can make so that we can continue to be as complementary as possible, because we are two different. It's almost like we're two totally different creatures.
So I want to like finish the loop.
Yeah.
I agree 100% with that. And it's helping me like with my wife and just like understand how things work. But do you think I could have, so that drink that we talked about, like this ultimate, like first thing in the morning, whatever.
That stack is,
do you drink it before you work out? Does it matter if you're drinking it while you work out or before, or?
So what I would do is because I know that you have like, between the time you wake up and the time you're exercising is typically like within 60 minutes, right? Within 60
I mean,
90
I
minutes.
could change it. I'm just, for me, I wake up at 6:30. Let's just say I'm going to change that to 6.
Yeah.
Let's say I wake up at 6,
Mm-hmm.
have my athletic greens and water right away, have my coffee at 7,
Mm-hmm.
and then get rid of the kids and stuff at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then I could have my whatever it is, workout, drink. I could have it on the way to the gym while I'm working out. I could have what I've been doing now is I have the pre-workout right before I leave the house. So I take 20 minutes and I usually I'm reading because I'm getting caffeinated from the pre-workout. And then I finish it and then I make the cyclic dextrin and I bring that and I drink that while I'm working out.
Okay. So get this. If you were the concoction that I just described, if that's the only thing that you were having in the morning to hydrate, then the 32 ounces plus everything else would make sense. Now, if you're already hydrating with some athletic greens, so you have a little bit of hydration in the morning and now you're just strictly drinking this pre-workout, then I would do the same concoction, but with relatively less water. So like 24 ounces of water. So that the concentration of electrolytes is relatively higher, which is going to be much more beneficial for exercise since you're sweating and losing a lot of electrolyte.
Okay.
So if it's just general hydration, a little more diluted. If it's pre or during exercise, especially if you're outside, if you're in Miami outside doing this,
no, I don't want to do that. I hate that.
I would diminish the concentration.
Way too much.
Yeah, I would suggest increasing the concentration of electrolyte even more, so diminishing the water even more, like 20 ounces of
making
water.
It even stronger.
Yeah. So in your case, I think generally 24 ounces of water and drinking this, starting like maybe having half of it in the half hour leading up to the activity and the other half during. That's what I would suggest. And
can I put my pre-workout in that too?
You can. I mean,
maybe I would go down to 1 scoop. So
Yeah.
I'll take out the cyclic dextrin and then make a concoction.
It's gonna be quite the concoction, but I would experiment with it.
Why not?
Yeah. Make sure you get one of those like little mixer tools. You know what I mean?
I have one of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I have a Yeti that I use, the Firm Yeti.
Cool.
That's a 32 ounce, and I'll put it a little bit lower.
Perfect.
Then I just scoop everything in, shake it
Nice.
up, put 1 ice cube. Which actually I've been taking the ice cube out because the water's already cold from my home thing. So,
Yep.
and then I'll just sip that and then.
How do you filter your water at home?
Yeah, this is probably needs to be upgraded, but we get the gallon, the 6-gallon jugs delivered in plastic
Of spring
bottles.
water.
Yeah.
Okay. I would suggest you own your home, right?
Yeah.
I would suggest that you install something central to the house that filters your water, like really filters it. Like I'm talking like reverse osmosis, then remineralizing it. I don't know if it's ionizing or energy. I forget the word, but there's all these different things you can do to water to make it more biologically consistent. Now there's people that are adding in structuring units to the water filters to have, structured water. I mean, the science and the data here is a bit limited, but there seem to be benefits of.
And you can just get you can just buy like a unit that does it all and just put it somewhere.
So Greenfield
connect it.
Water Solutions.
Okay.
They have a home unit. I just got one for because I'm renting my place, so I got one under the sink, and it's like a 5-stage filter that then remineralizes, structures, and energizes the water.
Expensive?
That was $1,200,
and it's
the whole home. I think it's like $5,000.
To put it on every outlet? No, if I just wanted one place where we all got all of our drinking water.
Oh, then just do it. the benefit of this is that you also want to shower with clean water.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
but you probably get a lot of benefits from changing the drinking water.
Oh,
too.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But when you're showering honestly is kind of like drinking the water in the sense that it goes into your skin.
Yeah, you're absorbing a lot. Interesting.
But on top of that, you're inhaling the water vapor. And now that I actually want to use the screens for something if it's cool with you.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go to ewg.org and look up the tap water database. So just go to google.com.
Yeah,
look up EWG tap water database. And then look it up by look up your zip code.
Let's see if I can do it. If I can do it.
This is going to be, I mean, almost everyone on the podcast right now can do the same. And I think most people will be shocked by what's in their tap water.
Oh, it does like, let me see something here. Let me see if we can do it.
So in my case right now, I've got a Symbiotica shower head filter in my shower. In my bathroom sink, I have a Filter Baby filter. And then in my kitchen, I've got the Greenfield Water Solutions 5-stage with the add-on structuring unit and then remineralization unit. And once I get my home, which is probably going to be within the next couple of years, I'm going to get like a whole house filtration system, because then it's also like, all right, what kind of water am I washing my clothes in?
So, Dave, can you make it so that you can see my phone?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you could do it, right? You did it, Dave?
Yeah, I see it.
So let's put in 3317. Well, you put your zip code in?
Yep.
And then it just shows you.
So I think it's like view report.
Should I enter it again here?
I think you have to scroll down. Once you enter it, scroll down.
This is not the right one.
Let me see. Yeah, view utility. Okay, so
Crazy.
8 contaminants. Well, there's 24 total contaminants detected. 8 of them exceed EWG health guidelines. So let's go ahead and see. All right, so arsenic, heavy metal, it has 243 times the health guideline. The potential effect is cancer. Chromium, 4.3 times the health guideline. Potential effect, cancer. Haloacetic acids, HAA5, potential effect, cancer, 286 times. So that's like 28.6 parts per billion. And what they recommend is anything below 0.1 part per billion, just to make the point. Haloacetic acids, HAA9, 627 times the guideline, cancer. I mean, and there's, the list goes on. So the point is that you don't want to be drinking this stuff. You don't want to be showering it. You probably don't want to be washing your clothes in it. And like, it's not so much, it's not just that, like, yeah, the one-off scenario, okay, I guess that's fine. But remember, this is you're going to be in the house for the decades.
We're going to be there for the next 20 years.
You shower and drink water every single day, all day long.
That's wild.
And the crazy thing about these heavy metals is that they bioaccumulate. They build up in your body.
Yeah.
So I actually did a podcast yesterday where I made the point describing the heavy metals in our ocean and how it influences the fish that we eat. These bigger species of fish that are higher in the trophic levels, they're higher up in the food web. They have the highest concentrations of heavy metals like mercury because they bioaccumulate and they biomagnify.
And they go up the food chain, literally.
Yeah. So
right?
I think it's a crime to feed a child swordfish or a big tuna because it's a small person.
Yeah.
And the concentration of mercury is so high.
Wow. That's crazy.
And so think about the chronic effect.
But man, it's scary.
And so there are a few ways to counteract this. Like I really don't want to fearmonger. I really am not doing this to scare people. I just think that it's like an easy win to counteract the environmental the toxic environmental load that might seem small on a daily basis, but if you look at the vast scope of your life in the next 10, 20, 30 years, like it's going to build up. And when it becomes a problem, it's going to be a big problem.
It's too late too.
It's too late.
Right? Yeah. It's crazy.
So anyway, you can upgrade your water filtration and purification. And then I would also suggest adding in like chlorella, for example, which is a microalgae, which can bind, like the chlorophyll in there will bind to these heavy metals and can detoxify them. I mean, just generally eating dark leafy greens will do something similar. In fact, when it comes to eating like red meat, a lot of the charring that you see on red meat when you grill it has HCAs, heterocyclic amines, which are associated with cancer. They are carcinogenic. And by eating dark leafy greens with your red meat that has charring on it, it'll bind to the HCAs and it can detoxify them. So the point is that most of us should be eating more dark leafy greens. Chlorella is a very easy, simple, and efficient way to do that. I recommend the brand Energy Bits, chlorella and spirulina. It's the highest grade, super high quality. So yeah, man, we have to be more careful. And then also consuming selenium on a daily basis or every other day, like from Brazil nuts, which can bind and detoxify.
Selenium?
Yeah.
I was, you ever see the show Dr. Pol?
No.
He's an animal vet. It's hilarious. It's my wife's favorite show. It's like the perfect thing for her to watch before she goes to sleep. It's like a veterinarian who just like heals animals and like fixes them. It's a great TV show. It's randomly like there was a dog that was a pack of animals on the farm that was dying, and all they needed was selenium. It's just funny last night. But so we got down the water rabbit hole because we're talking about like my perfect pre-workout drink. So I'm gonna go down to 1 scoop of pre-workout, which will like drastically reduce my daily caffeine by like 40% or 30. 1 scoop of pre-workout. Eat essential amino acids. My element packet. I can do this all together, right? There's no reason why I can't do it all together, right? You could do it all together. And then one other thing that I have bookmarked, right?
You can. I think it's cool to do. Yeah, the MitoPure timeline supplement. It's like a powder, and it contains urolithin A. I just did a podcast with Dr. Emily Werner. She has a PhD in this stuff. And
is there anything else I'm missing though? Before I don't want to get
creatine.
Oh, I do creatine after. Is it better before?
The best thing with creatine is, like, some people are under the impression that it can help with their workout performance. I think it's more so like a passive effect, just as you load up on creatine and keep your stores high. But what we do know is that creatine supplementation in the early morning can improve cognitive performance. In fact, it's been shown in the research to support cognition, especially when you're sleep deprived. So like if you're sleep deprived and you have creatine, you're going to be a lot sharper, quicker, faster. Because the brain uses creatine, like the body, as a substrate, as a fuel, as the most efficient fuel source to increase the speed and propagation of nerve impulses. So
just optimizing, you'd prefer it in the pre than the post.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have better cognition, cognitive performance, and while exercise is mostly physical, there's huge cognitive.
No, clear mind during exercise is good. Is there anything else I'm leaving out?
So it's the water, creatine, electrolytes, essential aminos, pre-workout, urolithin A.
6 things.
Yeah, that's a lot.
5 ingredients.
I'd say at a bare, like if most people tuning in want something realistic that will work well for them, just clean water, like spring water, and creatine and the aminos, or just the electrolytes will really upgrade your morning, like mental clarity, energy, and focus.
What I might do is, because I'm going to push back my coffee, I'm going to do the athletic greens, and then I'm going to do the electrolytes as like a way to like bridge the gap where I can sip on something, but whatever, and then I'll do everything else. So we'll see. I'll play around with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like talking about it helps me figure out my strategy, and I think taking my pre-workout down is probably a good idea. It's probably more useful for me to use that other 160 milligrams of caffeine, like right when I'm walking into the office anyway.
Yeah.
You know? And then that way it'll be more effective. So I think it'll be smarter.
When it comes to caffeine, I mean, do you really enjoy the flavor of coffee? Like, would you be willing to swap, let's say, coffee for like a green tea, matcha?
No, in fact, because I know that coffee like now it's coming out that has a lot of like mold and bullshit in it.
Most big coffee brands do.
Yeah. So I actually did an experiment where I just had no coffee and I just waited an hour and then I just had my pre-workout because I just figured it was probably a more reliably clean source of it's just pure caffeine and like a caffeine pill. It probably doesn't have the mold.
I mean, the thing is, so yes, I think that's a really good intention and logically that makes sense. But then I would argue, just playing devil's advocate here, most supplement companies, especially pre-workout supplement companies, don't third-party test for purity. There's a lot of crap that they add in there. It's not, it can have heavy metals. You know? So I would say a couple of suggestions. Go with small batch coffee. I love Madcap. I don't know if it's organic.
Is there a mushroom coffee that you know about that you like?
Oh yeah.
I've heard about this lately. I want to
Everyday Dose is my favorite. That's like
mushroom coffee.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
Everyday Dose is my favorite because it has a small amount of caffeine. I think it's like one espresso, like half an espresso. It's like 25 milligrams. 40 milligrams, something. Something like 25 to 50.
Yeah.
And then it's got cordyceps, lion's mane. It's got, I think, chaga as well. Yeah, it is. Everyday Dose.
I'm gonna order
but then it also has MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, which are going to facilitate energy production when you're in a fasted state. It's got collagen, and it has essential amino acids.
Coffee extract.
It has essential amino acids as well. That stuff is amazing, and it tastes like coffee. It tastes great. I love Everyday Dose. Now I know. Yep, that's it. I know. Four Sigmatic makes.
Four Sigmatic was the next one. That was the one. Shout out to my buddy Zach. He sent me that yesterday.
This stuff is my favorite though. The Everyday Dose. But
I
tell you what,
I mean, obviously worth it if it's great.
It's so good. I really like real coffee. Like I love the Madcap brand. Those, by the way, I mean, it might not say organic on the packaging, but it's really small batch coffee farms from all over the world.
I'm excited to try this.
That stuff is so good, man.
It's coming tonight. Amazon tonight. I'm gonna have it tomorrow morning.
Perfect. So a lot of these smaller batch, coffee farmers, like getting your stuff certified as organic is a very tedious and expensive process. So I'd say that they might be organic, but they might not say that they're organic. The point is, it could be a good alternative, and then you can be sure that they're not going to have mold, because the mold is typically in these like really big coffee makers and coffee farmers. They have these massive shipments. You know, they dry the beans.
Quality
they
control gets really hard at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can get a lot of the crap in the coffee beans. So I'd go with a smaller batch.
I got to use the bathroom. I drank too much water. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, we were talking about the mushroom coffee with the dosing or something.
Yeah.
All the talk about coffee made me really want a coffee, so I'm having my last caffeine of the day.
Lovely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So yeah, the daily, what is it called? Everyday Dose?
Everyday Dose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, are you able to run it back those last few seconds before we got up? There was...
What do you mean in the editing?
Like,
he wants you to see what he was saying.
Yeah. Well, what was I saying just before we got up?
I don't think you can do that, can you?
Stop and connect to the computer.
All right, then don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Something about where, I mean, we're just talking about caffeine and the mushroom stuff. So I'm excited to try that. I ordered it. So,
Cool.
No, but we're just kind of going over all of the ingredients of my new the order of which I'm gonna have my morning supplements and drinking it and then working out and stuff. I'm curious though, because backing up even further, I'm curious if I would benefit from working, being alone by myself and working, as soon as my wife and my kids go to school in the morning, if I would better off just going to the office or just going to my home office and just working from 8 to 11.
Rather than doing exercise.
Rather than doing my exercise. The reason I do it this way is it makes sense. I can go to the gym right away. I can get my exercise. I can come home, shower up, put on my work outfit, and then I can still be in lawyer mode from 10:30, 11 to 7 o'clock and get my full day of being presentable, versus if I were to work for 3 hours and then go to the gym and then shower up and change. Now it's afternoon. I feel like I might never get dressed for the day if I did it that way, which is important when you make your own schedule.
Yeah.
In the modern world now that I live in, that I've created for myself, I could do it I can do my day in any order I want for the most part. So
what
I don't know.
What do you think you can best adhere to long term?
The schedule that I'm doing now is very sustainable for me. Very. it gets me everything that I need. So I'm hesitant to, I mean, I'm always like looking to make improvements to see, like I could always try and see how I like it and go back. But I do really like, I've always liked working out in the morning. Like it's just so, it's a trade-off though. I know that the first few hours of the day are great for like big thinking and getting
but they
stuff
can also
done.
be great for exercise.
Yeah. For me, my like, the thing that I'm trying to move forward the most in my life is my like fitness and my health development. So that's why my exercise comes first. Cause if I start going about the day and I start not exercise and like, now this happens, now I got to put this fire out. Now something comes up with the kids or the firm or content. And before you know it, like the gym just doesn't happen.
Right.
So if you put it first, it happens.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know I don't know what you think.
I think that we should just try to work with what we've got, because it seems like that is creating a certain level of structure and stability in your life that has so many benefits downstream. So I would say let's make this adjustment where you're waking up 30 to 45 minutes earlier.
Okay.
Having your walk, maybe hydrating, getting some kind of light, whether it's sunlight, if it's that time of year where you have
think
sunlight
I should
early on.
do the light alarm as opposed to the sound alarm?
I think it can help. If you're waking up before the sunrise, I would use the sun alarm.
The light
that
alarm
lights up the room.
I love that thing. I used to use it all the time, and that's the only way I could wake up at like 4 a.m.
Because
sun,
it like gives you that natural response in the body. Like an alarm is, I hate alarms.
Oh,
they've done studies, and I want to make sure, by the way, all the studies that I'm mentioning, I want to find them and send you the links.
Sure.
For those who are curious and want to dig deeper. And so people know that I'm not just talking out of my ass, but
for sure.
There's actually been studies done that show that just the act of setting an alarm diminishes sleep quality.
Yeah, there's something
this,
about
stress.
Knowing.
That, and then knowing that it's probably something important that you have to wake up for. So it's like the fear of, what if I miss the alarm? What if the power goes out? Like, it's like this worry of like, oh my God, I have to make sure I make that commitment. So it's like, if you find a softer way to wake up, plus if you look at the actual sleep cycle, like you should only really be waking up in a light stage of sleep, in like that, in that REM phase.
Yeah. I want to back up because I want to this is mostly just selfish. I want to re-emphasize this to my own self, is like, when you are waking up like early-ish, I'm not saying like when you're waking up, when your body naturally wakes you up at like the 7.5 hour mark or 6.5 or whatever, everybody's probably a little bit different, but like for me, and we've talked about this before, that is like the sign of like peak function and performance.
Yeah.
Like when my body wakes me up, it's like a highly energized wake up, no alarm. It's just like
circadian biology.
Your shit is dialed in. When you're waking up at the right, and your body's going to wake up right at the perfect cycle, right? Because your
body has a way to do. Your body is so brilliant, and going back to one of our earliest points on this episode, it was this theme of circadian biology and consistency in your rhythm, which then elicits and orchestrates all these other functions in the body. So if you have that consistent time that you wake up and then you start to get sleepy, and that's a good sign. You want that because it reflects consistency in other mechanisms in your body, considering that it's so far upstream. So, a lot of people have a set time that they generally wake up. You can adjust that ever so slightly by going to bed earlier. And I would do this incrementally.
Right.
If you want to wake up an hour earlier, I wouldn't say, all right, go to sleep an hour, earlier starting today. I would say, all right, do this in increments of 10 to 15 minutes so that your body kind of works with you. And then another way that you can kind of expedite the process of shifting the circadian rhythm a bit is when you wake up in the early morning, make sure to get sunlight and some kind of movement, maybe even some deep thinking and responsibility to kind of like elicit that cortisol response, that endogenous cortisol response earlier in the day that then allows you to accumulate melatonin earlier in the day. So that's how you can really expedite that shift.
Yeah.
Beyond just like waking up and going to sleep at a certain time, or at least going to sleep earlier, in the morning, lights on, movement, responsibility. The three things that are going to give you that endogenous cortisol response.
What was it? Responsibility?
some kind of responsibility. So doing like
some,
work,
like something focused.
yeah, like
Yeah, okay.
So as soon as you wake up, doing that so that you can shift the cortisol response and therefore shift the melatonin response and kind of build
Is that where the making your bed things comes from?
It can. I mean, it's
You've heard that, obviously.
yeah, but I wouldn't
funny.
say that's going to be as potent as like, exercise or light or like doing a difficult task. Like,
Okay.
that's a quick win and it's a way to kind of start the day with a win. But there's other things you can do that are more potent, especially when it comes to adjusting your circadian rhythm.
So back on this topic, do you feel like the Whoop is trying to push people to sleep a little bit more than they need to? Because I feel like it does. But it has helped me. I think, like, I went through a period of time where I was probably only sleeping 6 hours a night. I was going to sleep at like 10 and waking up at like 3:45 or 4. And it felt great, but I definitely think that eventually it was subconscious for me, but like I think I got sick, and I just think that eventually my body was just like, no, you need more sleep.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that that's probably too little sleep to get for me. I mean, everybody's different. But I'll go to sleep at like 10 o'clock and I'll wake up at 6:45 and it'll say that I like just barely got enough sleep. And that's a lot of fucking sleep.
That's a lot of hours in bed, not necessarily sleep.
No, but okay. So I don't know, but I'm saying like I'll put my phone down and I'll put my head on the pillow at 10.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm passed out. I'm not conscious by 10:15, 10:20 at the latest because I'm lucky. I go to sleep pretty quickly.
You mind if we see your sleep scores?
Yeah,
real quick?
yeah.
And like, let's because I've seen them through the monitoring, but let's put them up on the screen to show people, and I'll kind of take you through.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm noticing and how we can adjust.
My sleep scores lately, I've been going to sleep a little bit too late, but because I've been playing poker on my phone. But
are you wearing your optics?
Not always.
You should.
I know.
And poker is one of those games where like you don't need to see the colors per se to make.
You kind of do though, but
you do.
You don't need to.
Red
You don't
and black
need to see the colors, but it makes it easier. I specifically turn on the 4-color deck because I have bad eyes and it helps me. But if I were to switch to an iPad, it would make everything bigger. But then if I switch to an iPad, then I'm not as mobile. But anyway, so here's my today sleep. 85%. So
I think that is like just such an easy win for you. Wearing the raw 100%.
Okay.
Night shift mode.
Okay.
And raw optics, man. Like
I got to make that a priority. I have them there. I use them, but I
is-
don't make it. I'm not, it's not like autopilot yet for me.
yeah, let's do that, man. You get the best of both worlds.
85, 94% the night before.
You mind if I see it? Can I hold your phone?
Yeah. Here. You have access to it, which is cool.
But I want to show people everything here. So sleep performance, nice, bro. 94%. High recovery score. Like really good strain. All right, so let's go into the sleep and check out the...
Shout out to my poker friend, Jason. I won't say her last name, but he just got the Whoop and he was asking me.
Kuhn?
No.
I was going to say, dude, oh my God.
No. But Jason, this part's for you. Because he was asking me all these questions at the poker game the other day.
About the Whoop?
About the Whoop.
Tell me you know a guy that might be able to help.
Yeah. He'll actually, he might be interested in talking to you because he's on a big health and fitness journey.
Dude, check this out. Your efficiency has been pretty good, man. This is really good efficiency. Let's actually look at...
Well, there's one main reason why I'm healthy right now, and that's going to be the next big topic that we talk about. And that's because I don't fucking drink alcohol.
Beautiful.
We're going to talk about that next, but let's focus on this.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's see HRV trend. You have really good HRV too. I mean, HRV is the most subjective biometric, but high number is a high number at the end of the day.
I'm not skipping my cardio, guys. I've been trying to tell everybody, don't skip your cardio.
And it's something that I would add in. If you're feeling really comfortable with your cardio, make sure you're nasal breathing exclusively when you're doing zone 2 cardio training.
I'm not. I have done it before. I've done it, but I'm not doing it.
I would start to do it because it is gonna elicit more of this air hunger because it's a slower way to breathe, but it is a more efficient way to breathe. And by experiencing that small amount of discomfort, just like with exercise, pain and discomfort, it drives the positive adaptation. You're gonna improve the anatomy and physiology of your respiratory system. and you're going to boost your lactate threshold, your CO2 tolerance, and these things are going to elicit benefits in VO2 max, cardiovascular function, downstream longevity.
The leaner you get, the easier it is to breathe out of your nose too, I think. I think that's...
Well, you're also carrying less body mass,
Yeah.
so technically you should see an increase in your VO2 max. Like, yeah, and then I mean, as you lose...
But like obese people have
no, for sure.
are forced to breathe more through their
For sure, if
mouth
you have
than their
more
nose.
body fat around your neck and face, it can be more difficult
Yeah.
to nasal breathe. And if you're generally inflamed, and you know, most people that are overweight and sick, they have this sort of chronic inflammation, and that can make it more difficult to breathe. So anyway, dude, I'll tell you what, I think your scores have generally been on an upward trend since we got started. Respiratory rate is increasing ever so slightly. So check this out. The respiratory rate is something that I think we can improve. And it's you can get an easy win overnight by wearing mouth tape. Kind of get into the habit.
I have it. I ordered it. I used it, and then I got a cold where I couldn't breathe out of my nose, and then I just kind of abandoned it. So, but I don't have it at all now, so I should definitely go back to that.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you started back in November, we were at 16.1. We made it down to 15.9, and then now we're at 16.0. I think we can get this down to below 15.5. And as you get healthier...
Respiratory rate?
Yeah.
Is that just amount of breaths per
minute? Yeah, respiration per minute. So I think that nasal breathing while you sleep, guaranteeing it through mouth tape is going to, like I said, improve the anatomy and physiology. And from the physiology perspective, you're going to see an increase in your CO2 tolerance. So you can withstand that air hunger better. And, you're breathing more efficiently. And then that carries into, that plays an important role in your fitness and in your workout sessions. So it's like basically a free way to win all around.
Yeah.
Stefan is calling you. Should I decline it? Answer it?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, decline it.
Okay, so it's just like a free win that makes the sleep better and makes the fitness better. Actively and passively, like short-term and long-term. Resting heart rate, you went from 53 down to 52, and now you're at 54. I'd say that the relative increase in caffeine consumption might have something to do with this. HRV is pretty good. Let's see your resting heart rate. Yeah, okay. Day strain. Sleep performance. Hours versus need. Average sleep need. Yeah, I'd say generally, man, things are looking much, much better. Time in bed. Consistency. So check this out. This is like of all the metrics that I've checked so far, this is one where I think we can see the most improvement, and it's in the consistency of sleep. So in November and December, you had 83 and 86% consistency respectively, and right now this month you're at 69. So it's a minus 20% difference, and that's going to help support everything else. So
what is that? How consistent my bedtime is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually watching a podcast with the girl. I don't know her name. She's the top dog of
Whoop.
metrics at Whoop.
Yeah, I had her on the podcast too.
What's that?
Kristen Holmes.
Yeah, she was on Diary of a CEO.
Yeah, she was on Diary of a CEO like 2 weeks after I had her on the show.
You had her on your show?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
We had an epic podcast, man.
Yeah,
epic podcast.
Super. And she was basically saying a lot of stuff, but how consistent you're if you're always asleep from like 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, like you'll be okay. And if you're not, might be in trouble, basically.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
So
alcohol.
Oh yeah. So alcohol, man, it's, I do feel like the main reason why people drink alcohol now is for social reasons. Like, I think it's getting to the point where everybody knows it sucks. It's so toxic. It's so bad for you. And it's one of those things that, like everything, the older you get, you're still really young. How old are you?
26.
So you know, like what the science says, but you don't know. Like you're not gonna know. Like 10 years from now, you're gonna call me and you're gonna be like, you told me.
I don't drink.
I know you don't drink at all.
I mean, last night whenever I drink like twice a year. I have red wine once a month.
Okay.
I have a real drink maybe twice a year.
Okay.
Anytime I go and drink, it's
so
the best. I go to the bar and I say, give me the most high-end silver tequila that you have, 1 or 2 shots. That's it.
Yeah.
Last night I paid like $60 for 2 shots.
Okay.
And I was having a great time.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
So so as you get older, it gets way, way, way more difficult to tolerate. And I think this is pretty much, bless you. I think this is like obviously science too, but the less you drink, the stronger it becomes. So like if you hadn't had a drink in a year, if you haven't had a drink in a year and you have a large cocktail, like you're going to feel really sick because like for me, I also think that I might have some kind of condition where I'm like legitimately allergic to it now because what happens to me is if I drink, I can have 1 drink, but it's somewhere between 2 drinks. It's somewhere between like 1.5 or 2.5 drinks in that range. And I've tried it with everything where I get that reaction where I pass out peacefully.
Okay.
And then like normal. And then I wake up an hour to 2 hours later with a super increased heart rate and I'm hot and then anxiety kicks in. And it takes me somewhere between an hour to 4 hours to be able to fall back asleep.
Yeah.
And those are the worst hours you could ever imagine. Like I haven't gone over 3 drinks now in like 3 years or 4 years because I'm so scared of it. But on this last family vacation that we went on, I had like 2.5, like 2 beers and a cocktail. And I woke up in the cabin and I was awake for 4 hours and it was the worst. It was the worst. I don't know. So I'm really just like, I'm done with it. I don't want to drink. I mean, I already don't drink really at all. I was drinking maybe like once a month, twice a month, but it's just it's so painful for me and it sets you back. Like my whole next day is fucked because of the hangover and because of the lack of sleep. And then I'm still off like for another day or 2. And now the science is like, it's so obvious like that it's all BS. Like, everyone, having 1 or 2 drinks is good for you. Like, no, like Huberman's now blasted that. Like everyone knows it's total BS. Like shouldn't be drinking at all.
I'm going to send you actually created a KYP Know Your Physio. That's my brand.
Okay.
Know Your Physio party guide. Okay. That tells you exactly what to do the night leading up to drinking.
Yeah.
Or while you're drinking and then after. Let me send this to you right now. And it offers some alternatives to alcohol, so such as kava root, and also hard ketones, which are ethanol free.
Okay.
So they're not going to put a burden on the liver. They're not going to be toxic. They're actually going to improve sleep. Like the ketones are going to boost sleep. The kava,
I like how we found that one that's they call it ketahol.
Ketahol, yeah.
Ketahol.
That stuff's good. Kava is also, it's awesome. Like the True Kava brand makes really high quality kava. Concentrates and drinks, and these are delicious. They really work as like social lubricants. Like they really open you up and give you that social boost without like the toxic effect. So let me send this to you right now. I'm going to airdrop this to you.
Okay.
I'd love for you to open it up just to show people what this looks like. I think we can tap our phones and it'll work.
No, I disabled that.
Oh, okay.
Because I have 2 iPhones. Because I have a poker phone, so they're always tapping. I got it. Cool. I got it though, nonetheless. It's coming through now.
Nice. Yeah, go ahead and open it up. I'd love to show people this guide.
This is so cool. This is great that you made this.
Yeah, man. So when you pull that up, you'll notice.
Oh, yeah. Now I learned this. If we do everything on the phone sideways, it'll be way better for.
Beautiful.
It'll be way better for.
So check it out. There's a general supplementation protocol to detoxify the toxic effects of alcohol. So we have NAC support, your glutathione levels, really important antioxidant in the body. Vitamin B complex, alcohol depletes B vitamins. Magnesium as well. It'll deplete magnesium. Use slider data, I guess. Activated charcoal to bind to the alcohol. Chlorella and spirulina, just to clean up the toxins. So anyway, notice how this has like a purple theme. This is like leading up to this and just passive things that you can do to just generally support your detoxification pathways. Be mindful of the choices, whatever, snacking wisely, dance, move your body. Now this is like right after, like maybe like on your way home or after drinking. So, rehydrating with electrolytes, not too much because you don't want to have to wake up to use the restroom, but definitely rehydrating NAC, 5-HTP to support serotonin, L-theanine, melatonin, potentially. And then the day after, so this has a morning theme. Sunlight and movement, nutrient-dense breakfast, hydration. Cold therapy will help as well.
What about the people that party with like doctors and nurses, and then when they go to sleep, they get the IV bag? Is that like
that's another way?
Legit hack?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, for sure. So that's popular right after night of drinking and also in the morning.
But I've seen people just get the IV the whole night.
Really?
Just go to sleep with the IV in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can do that. Yeah, for sure. Because
if you can afford it.
The diuretic effect of alcohol, I mean, it causes you to lose minerals, B vitamins, and the main reason why you feel hungover in the morning, the main driver is dehydration. Mm-hmm. Alcohol acts as a diuretic, and it causes you to lose so much water that your urine is clear. So some people are under the perception that they're hydrated, but they're actually losing so much water that it looks clear.
Is that why your urine's usually, if you're being, for me, I feel like my urine's very yellow in the morning, and then it's clear the rest of the day. Is that like
very? I mean, you're
much yellower in the morning.
So while you sleep, you're losing a lot of water,
right?
Through breathing mostly, and a little bit of sweat. So it's not uncommon to lose 5 pounds of water. While you sleep.
I usually lose 5 pounds exactly. Like my nighttime I'm 200, so I'll go to sleep at 205 and I wake up at 200.
Yeah. So when you wake up in the morning, that's typically when you're the most dehydrated. So as you rehydrate, especially with that, with your morning concoction and then pre-workout, like all that, then you're hydrating up. Right. So then your urine is going to be more clear. It's typically urine is the most yellow.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, first thing in the morning.
That makes sense.
So then we've got the morning sunlight, the blue light blocking, consistency. These are like the passive things that you can do just to kind of support the circadian rhythm, because I think the worst thing is like, you go out at night, you get drunk, you get terrible sleep, you wake up late, and then from then on, like the real issue is like that perpetuates into a really poor sleep cycle, and then it takes you. Whereas it can take you a day to recover, it would take you a whole week or 2 weeks to recover because you've screwed up your circadian rhythm.
That's the way I first found out how important the circadian rhythm was, because I've always thought, like I'm hungover, it's because I drank too much. And then I played poker till 6 a.m, dead sober one night, and I got a huge hangover. And I'm like, wait, how do I have a hangover? I didn't drink. I'm like, it's because I stayed up really late. You can get a hangover just from that. And that was kind of what set me on my path of figuring out how strong the circadian rhythm is. By the way, I love the watch. Can I see it real quick?
Yes.
So it looks really cool. It looks really cool because it actually looks it's the same green as the Patek Aquanaut.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow, it's not a small watch, but it feels small, I guess, because I'm wearing a Sky Dweller, but it's
let me see the Sky Dweller.
It's a 40 millimeter, right?
Yeah.
40?
Yeah, it is.
Polar.
That's
your birth year, right?
That's a 1997, so it's a U serial number.
It's really
Polar
cool.
White Explorer 2.
This was like your Grail piece, right?
I love that piece, man. And this is pretty cool. It's cool because if it focuses right, you'll notice on the hour markers it has a really nice patina.
Well, it's fine, but it's cool.
It's got a nice little patina on it. I replaced the hour the hands on it because they were like service hands. They had like the silver trim on them, and I just got it replaced with like the black trim. They're super Luminova, so they're gonna have more contrast. It kind of brings out the patina in the hour markers, which is cool.
It's really nice.
And then shout out to Mark at Horace Straps. He's the CEO, friend of mine. Yeah, he makes the best rubber straps in the world.
I've looked at Horace Straps a bunch, but I've never ordered one. It's really cool. That's factory actually.
Really?
Yeah, this is I think they just started doing that factory Oyster Flex like 2 years ago. It's super nice. Super nice.
This is what, a 42?
42. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than
Yeah,
this.
but it wears great.
Yeah, it wears super comfortable because of the look underneath. This doesn't have it. See they're like shark fins. It's like a cushion. Yeah, so it's like an air cushion. It rests on your wrist.
Here in
these little shark flaps. Yeah, right here.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That's
wow.
it's like a suspension.
Oh wow,
it's really
look at
cool.
that.
Yeah, it's
awesome,
really
man.
cool.
Beautiful watch. I know that the Sky Dweller is like probably the most complex movement that
it's the Rolex's most
that
complex.
Rolex makes. Yeah.
Congrats on that. I know that you were looking for that for
Thanks,
a while.
man. So. Yeah, and now I'm looking to get a Milgauss.
Now you're on to the next
bro.
one on the addiction.
Yeah. Oh my god. The Milgauss. I love the Milgauss because it was made for scientists.
Yeah.
So Milgauss, so 1000 Gauss, it resists, magnetic resistance, whatever it is. But anyway, it was made for scientists, physicists. I'm not a physicist, but I'm a scientist. I can appreciate some of that. I'm getting it in the 2020 model because that's the year I graduated.
You're sourcing it now.
It's not a rare piece. This is a rare. This dial is really rare.
Okay.
It's the tritium dial. It's a T25 Swiss T25 dial. So I actually spent a year and a half looking for this.
Okay, cool. Amazing.
In this condition with box and papers.
Yeah.
Thank you for the help.
Yeah, I know. We worked on getting that watch together. That's why I wanted to see it. It's really cool. But you put the strap on afterwards.
Yeah, I got the strap yesterday.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
I got this one. I got a white one, and then I got an orange one for my Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch.
Did you try any other straps before that one, or you knew you wanted that color?
I kind of knew I wanted this color. I have the green eyes. I just felt like it'd be cool. And I wear a lot of green, so yeah, it kind of gives it a nice classic look.
Your branding is green too, right?
It's like green blue, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But check this out. The Milgauss, made for scientists, getting it year 2020, which is the year I graduated as a scientist. And then on top of that, I did my undergrad and my first graduate program at UM. So that's green and orange.
Nice.
And now I'm at UF for neuroscience, and that's blue and orange. And the watch has the blue, green, orange on it.
That's really cool.
So it's like made for scientists, 2020, both colors.
The dial is like a cool, blue, teal, right?
Yeah. And the glass is emerald. It's like an emerald green glass. So I think it's a really cool watch. And honestly, the main reason why, I think it's a great investment.
Yeah.
I get a lot of clients pay me in cash.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just have it sit there.
Yeah.
I like to invest in a nice piece.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm probably not going to wear the Milgauss very much. That's going to be like a brand new piece that I'm just going to have in the safe. This was used, so it's a little banged up, so I feel better about wearing it out.
Yeah.
And then the Omega is like brand new, so I don't even wear that as much, but I love that it's a manual watch.
Yeah.
And I also really love how, I'd say one of my biggest issues over the years has been my time management. I don't know if it's my ADD or what it is, but my perception of time is just different. And I think that I got into watches to kind of like have an excuse to be more invested in my time and more aware of my time. And I love the Omega because I have to wind it every single day. And it's kind of like a little meditation and just awareness of my time. I really love that about the Omega.
That's pretty cool.
And then this is just an excuse to look at my wrist. And so I'm more aware of my time. I
don't mind setting my watches at all. I used to have a watch winder, but I like
that keeps your watches spinning.
Yeah, that way you never have to set them.
Yeah.
But I like setting them. I know how my wife doesn't know how to do it because I'm always there to do it for her. So I always set hers, and then I have to set mine. Of course, as I'm saying that, I didn't set my Sky Dweller today because I was in a rush. But I don't mind setting it. It used to annoy me, but I actually like it. It only takes like 30 seconds.
Yeah, with this one you have to set that one you have to set the day, the month.
This one takes.
Whatever.
I have it down to a pretty good science. I can do it in less than a minute. But
nice.
You have to set, if you want it to be perfect, you have to set the day, the month, not the year, but the day and the month.
Yeah.
And the time and the AM PM. So
yeah, exactly. So I have to this one. It's the time and then it's the GMT hand and all that.
Yeah, because it has the months around the outside, which is really cool.
That's amazing.
It is really cool.
That's an awesome piece.
Yeah.
Man.
But back to alcohol. Alcohol is even though I was drinking once a month, let's just call it once a month for 2 drinks, I still feel like that eliminating that completely is actually a big deal. Or either not eliminating it completely, but like if I'm in a social situation where I'm drinking, if I can like, because if I have the 2 drinks, for me, the 2 or 3 drinks, I might incur that like sleep, that like real sleep disturbance, whatever. Yeah. If I can just have like a half a drink, and socialize, then I feel like the sleep disturbance will go almost to 0.
Yeah.
And that just takes like a little bit of discipline and willpower and just like understanding. And then my workout the next morning doesn't get messed up. My diet doesn't get messed up. My discipline doesn't get messed up. Nothing like really bad happens. So it's just a matter of just kind of realizing how bad it is. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I hate it. I really hate it. Dude,
have you tried kava yet?
No.
Oh my gosh. Please get some kava. Dude, you can have this multiple times a week. You can have this whenever you want. And it just kind of opens you up.
Okay.
You know, and it's honestly something fun you can do with your partner. Like,
honestly, I'm happy to try it. I think it'll be cool. But like, for me, it's like, it's more just like the social thing. It's like everyone's ordering a drink.
Kava makes you social.
No, I know, but I have to like bring like if I'm going to like a happy hour or I'm going to a business dinner.
Check it out.
Like,
you know what you can do? There's a company called Troscriptions. And they make something called True Calm or Trocalm.
Okay.
And it's got kava, CBD, and GABA.
Okay.
Take that in the evenings, man. You just put it in your tongue. It's like a troche. Put it in your tongue.
Does he need to pee?
No, I think he's just kind of like, he's like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting there so long and not paying attention to me? He's probably hungry though. He hasn't had lunch yet, but I brought him some snacks.
Okay.
Anyway, put this in your, like, it's like sublingual. You put it right against your lip.
Okay.
No one can see it. You're gonna feel amazing, man. That for winding
kava?
down, or it's got a combination of kava, CBD.
It's like you put it like nicotine.
Yeah, it's like a little lozenge.
I want to ask you about nicotine because I see all these people talking about nicotine. It's not necessarily bad, right?
Nicotine is extremely addicting, but in isolation, it is not bad or carcinogenic. When you smoke it from a cigarette, vape, or cigar, it is carcinogenic. There's a ton of things that you're inhaling when you smoke nicotine.
But the Zyn one that I see all over the
Zyn
place.
Look, I am a fan of nicotine.
Okay.
Because it is an extremely effective nootropic. It improves the health and fitness of the brain.
There's something where you mix nicotine and caffeine, right? And
yeah, I'm not. I mean,
but I've heard people talk about this. There's there's science behind it.
Yeah, people are nuts.
It's like a cocktail. But I mean, it can't be that. It's not bad for you though, right? Nicotine's not bad for you. Caffeine's not bad for you per se.
It is very commonly abused by people. It's just so easy to get your hands on nowadays, and a lot of these convenient sources of nicotine are laced with other crap, like the vapes, dude. Are so
no,
bad
fuck that. I'm talking about like
a lozenge. Let's say
what's the cleanest form of nicotine?
I would say probably one of those like a lozenge.
So like if you were to just be like, I'm gonna do. They go from like a 10 milligram nicotine is like a big dose, right?
It's a pretty big dose. I'd say as
like
far as like a lozenge
right? Or
goes,
2 or
like,
5.
like a 1 to 2.
Yeah, the Zins are I don't know. I've seen them talk
Zins
about
are like, I think it's like you could do 1, 2, 4, 6, whatever.
So like say you just do like a 2 milligram nicotine, a clean nicotine and a shot of espresso.
You're gonna feel great.
I've seen like people talk about this as like the ultimate like clean like Adderall, like way to like really get you laser focused.
You want me to tell you what my favorite stack is, man? And this is just like, so nice, so good.
Tell the people.
Dude,
I want to know.
Dude, look, I like to get the nicotine. I think like CVS or Walgreens makes a lozenge. It's like 2 milligrams, and it's to help people quit smoking. But they sell this on Amazon, and it's like the mini size.
Okay.
So it's tiny little pill that you put in like sublingual.
Okay.
Or
sublingual, what does that mean?
Or like on the lip, like a lozenge, like against the lip. It's tiny.
What's the term for that, Dave? What do they call that? Like I know it's like an upper decker. No, like what's the lingo? Like the Ebonics lingo for like having like an upper decker is like when you have it in your upper lip. But is there like another term?
Chew?
A pack in? Like do you have a pack in? You know what I'm talking about, Dave?
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
There's lingo. Anyway,
dude. So nicotine, that little dose, that little sublingual plus CDP choline or alpha GPC or choline. So these
Okay.
are precursors to dopamine.
Okay.
And then you add in uridine, which makes it more bioavailable, makes the choline more bioavailable. You pair that with nicotine, and I mean, I took Adderall for a decade
Yeah.
before I got into all the health stuff.
Right. Of course.
Which what drove me to the health stuff because I
Right.
got so unhealthy.
Yeah,
through it.
because you're on crack.
But this stuff, oh my god, bro, that's
we should. I want to experiment with this. Like I'm gonna.
That's
Everything I do, I always do small doses.
Yeah,
like tiny micro,
small dose.
not
Yeah.
microdose, but like
I
one
do-
step up from a microdose.
I do 150 to 300 milligrams of CDP choline with one serving. I don't know the milligrams, but one serving of uridine, and then 2 milligrams of nicotine. I probably do this once or twice a week,
Okay,
dude.
I'm gonna try it, and I'm super lightweight with nicotine too.
Dude. And if you feel a little anxious, add in like one dose of L-theanine.
Okay,
Oh my gosh, that stuff, that stack before a podcast, or like a big bro.
lasered,
Dude.
amazing.
I don't want to say that this is like, I believe in a bio-individual approach. I know everyone's neuropsychophysiology is so different. Everyone's goals and responsibilities, and everyone is so different.
Right.
That stack has worked wonders for me. And I have genetic predisposition for ADD. I also have genetic predisposition for Parkinson's.
Okay.
And there now is research that shows that nicotine can be a way to delay the onset of Parkinson's if you have predisposition, and to reduce some of the symptoms of Parkinson's. So there's actually a good study. I think it's a meta-analysis study of studies. It's a very high on the level of on the hierarchy of empirical evidence, and they found that the folks who had smoked cigarettes throughout their life, like those who smoke more cigarettes and use more nicotine throughout their life, have a way lower incidence of Parkinson's, and those who had most recently quit smoking also have the lowest incidence of Parkinson's. There's a mechanism by which nicotine supports dopamine levels to prevent Parkinson's, because Parkinson's can be explained mostly by a dopamine deficiency, low levels of dopamine in the brain. Schizophrenia, for example, is on the high end of dopamine. This is a very simple way to describe these neurodegenerative diseases.
Did you see? I don't know who this guy is, Dr. Gundry. I'm sure you know who he is.
I had him on the podcast.
Okay, and did you see? Do you know Dr. Mike?
Dr.
He's got
Mike.
like 12 million followers on YouTube. He's like his real name is Mikhail something.
Dr. Mike, is he the neuroscientist?
I think he's
a
like
professor?
no, I think he's a primary care physician.
Okay.
But his brand is Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike. But
Maybe.
But Gundry went on recently, I think, and he was like questioning a lot of his stuff. It was interesting. I just figured you might have seen it. But,
Yeah, I actually, my podcast with Gundry was a little controversial, and I had to take it down because I want to do a better job of adding in an intro.
Okay.
I should have probably quizzed him and a little harder, because a lot of the stuff he said, at least to me, seemed very novel. I've never heard of any of that stuff before, and I should have been a little more
Like he's super against fruit. He's super
fruit,
he's
and
claiming
then,
that smoking like makes you live longer, and Dr. Mike was like, "Well, you got to add so much context." To
well,
that. I'm probably misquoting it, but it's what I remember hearing.
I know I've heard this before. Certain scientists have made the point that smoking helps you live longer, but it was a clever way of showing people that they have to look at the research, because it was like all correlational. They showed
Dr. Mike was
mechanisms
basically
by
like,
which-
look, it's not that they live longer, it's just that they die earlier from other things. And what he said sounded like a good counterpoint, but
I think people should look at the research and really look at check out the podcast that I recently did with Dr. Alan Aragon.
Okay.
The bulk of our podcast was showing people how to actually look at and interpret research. I think that will just be fundamental for anyone that wants to take an evidence-based approach to improve anything regarding their health, well-being, and longevity.
Learning how to interpret research is very important.
We really take people through what they need to know to better interpret research. So check out that podcast. It's like my latest podcast episode. And that'll kind of help you determine whether or not smoking is good for you. And 99% of the time I'd say it's not. But anyway,
I have no
returning to
interest
the
in
nicotine.
smoking, but in nicotine, I've been seeing this trend of little nicotine, a little caffeine, and it's like but maybe this concoction you have is better.
Another cool thing about nicotine is that compared to caffeine, it has a way shorter half-life. The half-life of nicotine is like an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours. So it's like you can take this later in the evening and it's not going to, take away from your sleep the way that caffeine is.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I really love nicotine. Like, I love nicotine, but then again, I'm very mindful of its addictive quality, and I only use it maybe twice a week, mostly just
You
once
just have
a
to
week.
use it as a tool. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
like the CDP choline and uridine alone does enough for me.
Okay.
With a little bit of espresso, I have espresso maybe 3 times a week. So, I really try to be mindful, and I try to invest in all the different mechanisms that support my endogenous dopamine production and upregulate my energy naturally, so that I don't have to go to this stuff to get energy. Now, I know that having kids can make a lot of that difficult.
Yeah,
but
everything.
Yeah, everything difficult. But I think with a lot of stuff that we've covered so far and the adjustments that we're going to make in your life, I mean, it's a small but significant investment, especially if you look at this over the course of the next few years. You know, it's going to improve things and compound in a way. So,
yeah, I think that for me, like, the biggest unlocks have been like really realizing the importance of the circadian rhythm.
yeah.
So if you don't understand that, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And now also everything kind of comes off that. Like, if you like everything that you do, like, is this going to fuck up my circadian rhythm? Because if it is, then I shouldn't do it. Like eating late, drinking alcohol, too much caffeine, all these things, like the reason that they're bad, quote unquote, is because of the effect on the circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
That's the way it feels to me. So eating super clean.
By the way, can I quickly jump in and say there's a way that we can automate your nutrition so that you don't have to get decision-making fatigue or suffer the consequences of maybe not eating enough throughout the day and then letting that.
Well, I do. No, I have
cravings.
most of it automated. I have a meal plan that I use.
Like a meal delivery service.
Yeah, I have a meal delivery service, and I know
say,
the exact macros.
Okay, cool.
But if you have ideas, I'm open to them.
I mean, with my VIP clients, I've got a gourmet chef making their meals that day, that morning, and shipping them out, and they're delicious.
I'm down to
meals.
try it for sure. I mean, I use MegaFit, like whatever, but
there's another group that I can suggest. Yeah.
They deliver me 25 meals. I can freeze them. I put some in the fridge, and then like I have one here. As soon as we're done, I'm about to crush one, and then I don't have to worry about. I know it's 550 calories. I know it has good macros, like whatever.
But do you feel satiated throughout the day? Do you feel like this has been helping you prevent those unwanted cravings later at night?
The crazy thing is that I don't really have, like, I made a vlog the other day, and I was talking about, like, even when I'm in a deficit, I don't really have any cravings ever. But just every once in a while, whatever, I haven't figured it out, but like, because we have a lot of shit in our house because we have little kids and my wife has her whatever, she just buys whatever. If I see something, it's like, I'll just like get triggered, which is why when I was a bachelor and I was single, I was in really good shape because my house had fucking eggs and cottage cheese and that was it in it. But I to answer the question is no, I get starving like every once in a while, but I have an RX bar usually like in my backpack just in case, because I don't want to get like too hungry, or I know that I could it's usually just a temporary like part of fasting. And if I just don't focus on it and do something, I just not be that hungry. But yeah, usually I'm fully satiated and not starving and not like on either end of the extreme.
Right.
Which helps me a lot.
Yeah. I think it's also, noteworthy to mention that the days that you exercise and the days that you have a lot of responsibility, a lot of work, that will use up a tremendous amount of glucose, and that relative hypoglycemia will trigger hunger. And so on the days that you're active, double down on getting enough protein and fiber in your case, because you want to, lose some fat. So making sure that you're getting a hefty amount of protein and fiber, hitting your 180 to 200 grams of protein per day.
By the way, I'm working out basically every day, either 6 or 7 days a week, but I don't go that hard. That's what I like. But what do you think?
I would suggest taking that down to 3 to 4 days and basically using the biometrics to determine when those days are going to be and what they're going to look like, because that allows you to derive as much of the hormetic benefit as possible. So you're basically exercising hard on days where you can technically afford it most.
Yeah.
The other days I would focus on, like the low recovery days, I would focus on more like mobility style, maybe more cardio, stuff that's going to be less taxing on the nervous system. So I would say maybe do 4 days
Try
and plus
take 2 days off.
yeah, and
the
plus
6.
like that might like I know a lot of people that like to work out every single day. Like I like to be active every day, but I kind of adjust it based on what I technically
It's
can
just
afford.
like again, I like to have my routine. So 1 hour of circuit training, 30 minutes of cardio. Like I just love that.
Yeah.
And then some days I go lighter. Some days like it's an hour, but it's really like a lot of downtime, and I'm just doing more stretching stuff. And
well, right now I'd say I really want to focus on, of course, getting you the best physical results. So boosting your strength, your muscle mass, and losing fat. Also, I want to increase your VO2 max and grip strength, which are super highly correlated with longevity. And then I also want to make sure that we're considering your general nervous system and your general tolerance of stress. So by taking it down to 4 days, you can still see the same volume in those 4 days that you would otherwise see in 5 to 6 days. Because if you focus and hone in on the recovery element, you're going to be much, much stronger those 4 days. And I want to make sure that we embrace and make the most of that strength to see important increases in VO2 max and grip strength. So like if you work out more often, you technically are compromising some of that relative strength. The more that you've optimized for the recovery, generally speaking, the better your quality of life is going to be, and the harder that you can afford to go when you exercise.
Yeah, I mean, if I could it would save me some time. I would have if I have busy stuff going on, I could allocate those extra, because it's not just the hour in the gym. It's getting.
I think
there
you're going to get stronger.
Yeah, and I might get stronger too, which is great. So maybe I'll back off 2 days a week, and I could still do the cardio though, right?
I would do zone 2 cardio on those days, not hit training. I would do zone 2 cardio. For example, like your recovery scores have been really good. I would say anytime you have like an 80 or 85 plus in your case, strength training day.
Okay.
Anything below an 80, zone 2 cardio. If you're for whatever reason below like, I don't know, a 50 or a 40, just do a lot of walking that day. Maybe get on the treadmill, put an incline like 2.5, 3 miles per hour at a 12% incline for an hour. Like
I love walking, by the way. It's the
walking
best.
is free way to burn calories, basically. And it's so also good. Because it's a super low intensity for a long duration, you're almost exclusively using fat as a fuel source. Not to say that you're burning more fat, but you're using more fat, and that's going to have less of an impact in the blood glucose curves. So it'll generate less hunger is what I'm trying to say. Whereas when you move your body through resistance training and it's that level of intensity, when you do cardio resistance training, that will technically make you hungrier, but of course you're burning more calories, and it has higher EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, as you recover. Walking burns a ton of calories, and it does so while creating less, generating less cravings. So it's a great way to burn some fat.
Yeah, walking is, and just I feel like it makes you happy too.
Yeah,
people don't realize it, but it really does.
Especially after meals to regulate the blood glucose response. Yeah, that's great.
10-15 minutes is all you need, right?
Yeah, perfect.
I think getting rid of those 1 to 2 days a month that I have alcohol in my system is going to be big for me in terms of just momentum is such a key in all this. Like not getting sidetracked, or if you do, just making it big small. Yeah. Because man, just you pay such a high price, and you don't even know. Wait till you're in your late 30s.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. Was there anything else that you wanted to go over specifically? We covered so for like takeaways, I think maybe getting my caffeine down a little bit. I don't think I need a second.
Ready? I'll take you through all the takeaways. Yeah. Gonna rapid fire through them. We're going to eliminate 1 scoop of pre-workout. Mm-hmm. We're going to wake up 30 to 45 minutes earlier and spend that time doing things by you, for you. Okay. Going on a walk, reflecting, doing some important work. Journaling. Yeah. It's exactly setting an intention for the day. Number 3 is limiting caffeine intake in the evening or later in the day. Like you don't want to have caffeine at, let's say, after 12 in your case. Yeah. If you need something to kind of give you a boost in energy, make sure you're hydrated. Make sure, you've got all your bases covered. No, I don't really ever
need the caffeine. it's more just like fun.
Okay.
Like, I'll be a little bit sped up and if you be more focused.
So if you're doing that after 12 p.m.,
in
that case, probably a small dose of nicotine. In the evening, when you feel like you might want a bit of like that social lubrication effect, or you might be craving alcohol, instead go for the true kava, drink that, either have like the concentrate or actually drink it. Or if you're going out and you want to be more low key, have the Troscriptions Trocalm with the kava, CBD, and GABA. We're going to be working out. Yeah, I'm going to, don't worry, I'll send you all this. You're going to be working out instead of 5 to 6 days a week. As far as lifting goes, we're going to go to 3 to 4 times a week. So we'll do either an push pull legs or full body 3 times a week, or upper lower. I'll create all the programs for you.
Okay. We're
going to reference data so we can determine when's the best day. So if you have a really high recovery score, go nuts, go crazy, do whatever you want to do. The other days focus more on mobility. I'm going to send you a good mobility program that's going to undo a lot of the effects of like sitting. I know you tend to sit a lot for work. So we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to make sure to include it in the program to release tension in very overactive muscles and then increase firing and neuromuscular engagement in weaker muscles. Don't worry, I'll send you all that. We're going to add in a hydration formula for the morning that includes clean water, and you're going to upgrade your water purification system at home. We're going to have clean water. We're going to have 5 grams of creatine. We're going to do the urolithin A. We're going to add in the new electrolyte mix, the Relight. Then we've got the pre-workout potentially, and I think I'm missing one thing there. Can't remember.
No, anyway. I'm gonna also be really, really laser sharp about not eating later in the day.
Yeah, just try not to eat within 3 hours of your bedtime.
Yeah.
So you can lower your blood glucose curves, and the ketogenic state is the best for sleep. Like you want to be in a bit of a ketogenic, or at least approaching ketogenic state for sleep. You're gonna see a shift in what's called the respiratory quotient. You're gonna actually be able to, so we noticed that one of the things that was elevated was your respiratory rate at night.
Yeah.
If you have an earlier dinner, you technically, because you're in a more ketogenic state, you should see a shift in your respiratory quotient, and basically you can afford to breathe less to get the same amount of oxygen when you're in a ketogenic state. And that will also elicit a more parasympathetic state. So you basically have more efficient sleep. So something else that can facilitate that as far as supplementation goes is Ketone Aid KE4. Take a capful of it. It puts you into deep ketosis. That's one of my best recommendations for deep sleep.
Okay.
Especially if you're, right before bed.
Nice.
And then a little bit of breath work as well. And then
mouth tape too.
Mouth tape is going to guarantee a lot of these benefits.
Okay.
Deeper sleep, more efficient sleep, lower resting lower resting heart rate, lower respiratory rate. And it's going to give you a passive benefit for your fitness as well. And then now you have the alcohol, the party guide, the KYP party guide, so you know what to do passively and then actively leading up, during, and after any kind of drinking or partying. It can be helpful for drinking. It can be helpful for any kind of drug that you may do at night. So,
and then this is completely unrelated, but I ordered the Apple Vision Pro this morning.
Okay.
So I can't wait to see how I get to use that. And I'm sure that will be the worst thing to use right before bed. But
yeah, just a lot of blue light,
We'll see. We'll see. All right, man. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yep.
We'll do another one soon. And let's track. Let's do like my month over month stuff on Whoop. I would like the data. The more data collection we have, the better. I'm going to do my blood work again soon. On the next pod, we can do an analysis because I'm getting close to the point where if my test I feel like is still really low, then I might want to consider something. Because I mean, I'm still probably 18% body fat, so I don't know what.
As far as testosterone, let's make these changes for a little while.
Yeah.
But then we can also add in. I like the Kino Mojo. It's really good at supporting testosterone and making it more bioavailable.
Yeah.
Also lowering SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. And then we can add in Shilajit, symbiotic Shilajit, which can support testosterone, libido, and other things like that. But let's do that first.
Yeah.
And then if we need to do some either peptides or doing testosterone, we can find. By the way, I just want to say, I should have probably mentioned this in the very beginning. None of this is medical advice. And we are looking at you individually while also trying to provide as much value for the audience. But then again, I'm not a doctor. I'm a physiologist.
Yep.
And this is not medical advice.
Got it.
So,
we'll put that up front. Nothing in the pod is medical advice. This is my consultant? My health and hacking consultant,
coach and consultant, applied
he's
physiologist.
Not my doctor. He's my coach, and none of this is medical advice. And we forgot to do this at the beginning, and we're going to put it at the beginning.
Yes.
So, and we're going to continue tracking everything, and we're going to do this probably. I think we should do at least once a month for this format.
Yeah.
Because then they'll give us enough time to like make progress.
Yeah.
And then so we'll do. This is January, so try and knock out one a month for a while. So
awesome.
Good stuff.
So technically a month from now, we should be right around Valentine's Day. I'd love to do a Valentine's Day episode with you.
Do it.
To help people improve everything from attraction to blood flow to all kinds of cool. I have a lot of cool stuff I want to share.
For sure. I love that. That's cool. Definitely. I love that. So we'll put it on the books. All right. Peace.
Peace out. Thanks again, man. It's been awesome.
Hold on. My wife just called, so it's perfect timing.
Yeah.